Good morning, music friends. Welcome to my music channel, Edward, aka ProgHat. I hope everyone is doing well out there and being safe. And today's video is my participation in a contest, and that is Robert on my turntable. He has a contest. Name 5 bands and the changes and what part of the band's career do you like the most out of all those changes? That's the way I'm understanding. So I've chosen 5 bands and that I really liked, that I've listened to since my younger teens or my preteen years, but bands that I still love and enjoy to this day. One thing I want to say about is when a band that you like or an artist makes changes to their band, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. It all depends. The 5 bands that I'm going to talk about, I didn't mind the changes they made in their band. It didn't stop me from buying their music, listening to their new music whenever they made a new record with new members or when members left. It was still good music. So let me begin with one of my favorite bands, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And I started right here. This is one of my a record that I really do like by them. This is called You're Gonna Get It. And on here it had bass player Ron Blair and Stan Lynch on the drums, Tom Petty, Mike Campbell, Beaumont Trench or something like that. Excuse me, I might have said his name wrong. But this is the earlier days of Tom Petty before his big successful album, Damn the Torpedoes. So I'm going to move fast forward a little bit here, and I believe this is the last album that drummer Stan Lynch drummed on. Put it that way. This is Tom Petty's Heartbreakers Into the Great Wide Open, Under the Skies of Blue. And for whatever reason, I think this is the last album that Stan Lynch played drums on. Whatever the falling out is, I don't know. So they kept on going, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Rest in peace, Tom Petty. One of my favorite artists is Tom Petty, and good songwriter, and I liked his way he sang. Now, this is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. This is Echo, which had a few new members to the band. I believe they still had Howard Epstein. They had another guitar player named Scott Thurston, something like that. And drummer Steve Forney, Forrne. And this is a really good record. When it came out, I don't understand it, but this album is solid from beginning to end, in my opinion. I highly recommend it. So, if I was to choose what period I really like of the band changes and the records, it would be this period. These albums, Echo, The Last DJ, all the way up to Hypnotic Eye, be the period of the band I really, not to say that the other records, I know Damn the Torpedoes, Hard Promises, Long After Dark, great records. But I tend to listen to that period the most, the later period of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Next, Pink Floyd. Yes. With Sid Barrett in the beginning. Roger White. Richard Wright, Roger Waters, and Nick Mason. Love this record. But then problems occurred. And Pink Floyd about this time started to bring in new member, David Gilmour. I believe is a, yeah, I believe, yep. He co-wrote Saucer Full of Secrets. So he started to come into the band, and Sid was out or leaving the band, whatever, you know. Then about this period, I'm jumping ahead, after The Wall came the Final Cut, which I like this record. I know some folks give it a lot of hate, but, you know, oh well. Not everything's going to make you happy in life. About this period, I want to say, if I remember, and I'm going, that there is no Richard Wright on this album. For whatever reason, he left, or he just, maybe he wasn't feeling the project. Okay? But I'm glad they made this record. Some people referred to this record should have been The Wall Part 2. Okay. Fair enough. But then later on, Pink Floyd came back, and I saw them on this tour, but without Roger Waters. It was Gilmour, Mason, and Richard Wright. A Momentary Lapse of Reason. Great show. I saw this show back in the 80s. But this, and then Division Bell, and The Endless River, which doesn't even have Richard Wright. I think it's just Gilmour and Nick Mason and whoever they, you know, got to lend a hand into making The Endless River. So now my favorite period of Pink Floyd has to be the period of 68, 69, and 70. I really like that period because around 69, they put out 2 records that are really good. Umaguma and the soundtrack to More. So I really do like that period before the 70s and the early 70s. So that's my favorite part of the Pink Floyd. The next band, seen this band 2 or 3 times. Cheap Trick. That's right. No one ever talks about Cheap Trick. Only time you hear about Cheap Trick, in my opinion, is the records that they hate. This is one of the earlier records of Cheap Trick. Rick Nielsen, Robin Zander, bass player. Oh my goodness, I'm going blank today. Bunny E. Carlos, Tom Peterson on bass. Early Cheap Trick. It's a good record. They do a good version of California Man. Then they had changes in their band too, where bass player, for whatever reason, Tom Peterson left. On this album, they bring in a guy by the name of John Brandt, and coming out with an album called Standing on the Edge, which I like this record. I like, even though, you know, you can't always, whatever reason, can't keep the band together, Cheap Trick came out with a really good record here. Yeah, Standing on the Edge. Then later on, I hear that Bunny is still part of the band. He has his share in the band still. Later on, they came out with Bang, Zoom, Crazy, Hello. I like the title of this album. And brought in a drummer, which I believe is Rick Nielsen's son, Dax Nielsen, plays drums. It's a really good record. Glad to have that. Favorite period of Cheap Trick? Early Cheap Trick. I really like the first, 3 or 4 records and then the live album. Moving on, this band has had so many changes. It's really hard to do this band. I mean, just alone, I could probably do a 3-4 part series video on King Crimson. That's right, folks. I started here. King Crimson, Lark's Tale and Aspect. Members David Cross, Robert Fripp, John Welton, Bill Bruford, and Jamie Muir, M-U-I-R, on percussion. But I really like this period, and I like that Bill Bruford, was a drummer in the band. That's a solid record, those early records of King Crimson. Right about here, this just has Robert Fripp, John Welton, and William Bruford, and a bunch of other musicians. But it's like they did and then there were 3. King Crimson. Red is a really good record. And then there's more to this period. There's more records they did when they had members. And I haven't opened up my sealed copy of Thark, Robert Fripp, Adrian Blue, Trey Gunn, Tony Levin on bass, Bill Bruford, and another guy by the name of Paul Masaletto, something like that. And albums like Discipline, 3 of a Perfect Pair, Beat, pretty much are albums that had a lot of those musicians that I just mentioned. Now, the period that I like of King Crimson is the period of the early, 4 or 5 records they made early on is a period that I like of King Crimson a lot. Band number 5, I was trying to keep this short. Apologize, Robert. I was trying to really keep this short, but Van Halen. Yeah. My 3rd or 4th favorite all-time favorite band. I'm a big Van Halen fan. Van Halen had mainly a lot, and a few, they had changes with singers. And then they had changes where Michael Anthony, bass player, left with Sammy Hagar, and they brought in Wolfgang, Eddie Van Halen's son, to play bass, and may Eddie Van Halen rest in peace. So I started here. Van Halen, Women and Children First, my all-time favorite Van Halen album. It's tough because I like Fair Warning too. But you have David Lee Roth, Eddie Van Halen, Alex Van Halen, and Michael Anthony. This is a good rockin' album here. Then, of course, whatever the falling out was, I went here because I recently got this on vinyl. OU812. We don't see David Lee Roth. Sammy Hagar came in on the album before this, 5150. It's a really good record here. And then couldn't find it, but then they changed it to another singer when they made Van Halen 3 with Gary Cherone from Extreme, which I like it. I like the songs on that one, but I just don't see him being the fit. I'm not saying that he can't sing. I just didn't see that. Didn't listen to it very much, but I do have it. But I end with Van Halen. Different Kind of Truth. I like this album. I do. David Lee Roth came back. Of course, Wolfgang's playing bass. You had Eddie Van Halen and Alex Van Halen. But this is a good record. It's got a lot of bad reviews, people hating. I mean, folks, I've said this before, not to sound in any hatred way, but I don't expect Van Halen to make women and children first every time. They're going to change. They're going to change. They're going to do things. They're going to probably rehash some old demos or what they're going to do. They're going to keep putting out good, solid records. That's right. All these bands did. They put out good, solid records. I'll just leave it at that. But the period of like a Van Halen, yeah. What? The first 5 albums, the ones with David Lee Roth. Yeah. So there's my, wanted it to be short, but that's my contest entry video to Robert on My Turntable. Everybody knows him. He has a good channel. I like the reviews that he does on records that I like. And you don't see people talking about Jackson Browne or Little Feat or Vanilla Fudge. I don't know. I can't answer that. But check out his album. He even did one on Alan Parsons' Project. Tales of, oh my goodness, I'm going blank. You know the album, the one that had that piece of music, The Raven. I like his reviews. Check out his channel. I will leave a link. And Robert, thanks for having this contest. And now I pulled out some records that I need to revisit, like going to see an old friend again. Thank you everyone out there, to all my subscribers, and to the next video, Edward, aka ProgHat. Cheers, everybody.